This episode is brought to you by Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard of Anchor, you should definitely check them out. It's a super easy tool that anyone can use to create and distribute their podcast. It has everything you need, and you can do it all from your computer or even your phone. Need your podcast cover art? There's a tool. Music and sound effects? They have you covered. Want to record on the fly? It's easy with the app. Now you may be saying to yourself, I already have a podcast. No worries, just create your account, upload, and publish to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Looking for some walking around money? Anchor connects you with advertisers who match your brand. It's a one-stop shop for all of your podcasting needs. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
You're listening to BizQuik. This is where Julie and Corey provide quick and useful information to small business owners. BizQuik is the podcast where small business owners get to showcase their businesses and receive expert advice and guidance in areas many entrepreneurs struggle with. And you, the listener, get solutions, tips, and tricks on real-world topics that many small business owners face. Julie and Corey are the experts small businesses hire when they need solutions. And the BizQuik podcast is just one way they deliver those solutions. Let's start the show.
Hello and welcome to BizQuik. I'm Julie.
And I'm Corey.
And on today's podcast, we have a special episode for you. We're going to be answering questions that were posed to us by students who are working on transition goals for graduation. These students are all studying at Cougar Academy, which is a part of the Harrisburg City School District, and they're taught by Erica Baylor, who's a friend of the show. I'm kind of excited to hear what the questions are.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. All right. Let's roll. I think how we should do it is just volley back and forth and with the questions, and you ask me and I'll answer, and Perfect. I ask you, and we'll just take it from there.
All right, let's do it. So question number one from Shamar, age 16. When you want to start a business and you have an idea of what you want to do, what's the first step?
Great question, Shamar. This is good. So you want to, honestly, market analysis would be my recommendation. So take a look at what other businesses like the one you want to start already exist, where they're located, how they're doing business-wise, and see if you can spot any gaps, areas where you can do better. But a market analysis is always a really good place to start because one, it tells you if there's actually a need for it in the market. And two, it gives you an idea of what other businesses are already doing. And market analyses are super easy to do. You can just, do some research in Google. You could honestly do, if it's a business, you could do some, drive around or look in your local area to see what other like businesses exist. And, talk to friends and family to kind of figure out what they think about the, see what they think about your concept. And what you're really going for is you want to find out if the product or service that you want to start as part of your business is viable. That's the end goal, and market research will help you determine that. And once you've confirmed that it is, then you can move on to actually getting started with the business. Anything else, Corey? Did I miss anything?
No.
All right, perfect. Let's move on to question number 2, which comes from Jalik, who is 15. And Jalik asks, if I apply for a loan, will the bank not want to give me one if I'm young?
So if you are under 18, I'm going to say no, they will not give you a loan. Sorry, Jalik, but that's something that you could probably work out with your parents or somebody else for legal reasons. Obviously, you can't sign a contract if you're under 18. I'm sure that probably varies state to state and bank to bank. They might have to be older. But what the bank's really looking for is whether or not you have a solid business plan in terms of what you're going to sell. So they want to make sure that you are capable of selling what it is that you want to sell, and that you have, like Julie said, a viable product, so that it makes sense. If you're going into, if you're going to create, typewriters or something like that, that's no longer a popular product, they're not going to give you a loan. But the main thing is they want to make sure that they want to secure their interest in your business. So if you can prove that you are capable of paying back the loan, they might have, ask for some sort of collateral. And, obviously the younger you are, the less collateral you probably have, but you want to just make sure that you are capable of providing whatever product or service it is that you want to sell, and that you have the experience and ability to do so. And being young doesn't mean that you don't have the experience or ability. You could, obviously you could have been working on a product or something, or even selling it for the longest time, and now you want to take it from out of your garage into an actual retail shop. And if you have years of data showing that, hey, this is viable, I can do this, a bank's going to be willing to do that. And especially, depending on the size of the loan, also really depends upon how likely a bank is to give a loan to anybody. Not age doesn't really matter.
I actually want to throw something in here. And I'm not even trying to be slightly obtuse, but when I look at, the age of all the kids that are asking these questions, and they're great questions, but do you think this group of kids knows what a typewriter is?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Okay. And I wasn't trying to be.
All right, an iPod. Nobody uses those anymore, right?
Correct. Nobody uses those either. Okay. All right. Good reference. All right.
Next question we've got from Briani 16. How long does it normally take for businesses to start making real money?
Ooh, okay. So this is such a variable question, Briani. A great question. And in all honesty, I'm going to say it depends. And I know that's not a great answer, but here's the reality. You could start a business and not see any real money. And when you say real money, I assume you mean you're making more money than you're spending on the business. So you actually are able to cover your bills and your expenses for the business and have some income for yourself. It could take 6 months. It could take 2 years. It's really very variable. It's a variable response based on the demand in the marketplace, your ability to really market and sell it to people, to get customers through your sales pipeline, and how high of customer service quality you're providing, right? Because people will come back if you've got really good service and it's something that you're selling that is a repeatable or like a consumable good. So it depends. And I know that's not a great answer. I think the better question to ask, and I think it's coming up in a couple of minutes, or it's certainly coming up in this podcast, is how much money should you have on reserve when you're starting a business so that you can go an extended period of time without making money? Because that's really the way that you should be looking at it. And I'm pretty sure we're going to address that later. So I'm not going to give that answer. I'm going to leave that as a little bit of a cliffhanger. Anything you want to add to that one?
No.
All right. This next question comes from Denny. He is 16, and this is what he wants to know. If I want to start a business and I need a loan to start it up, will the bank give me a loan if I didn't go to college?
That is very similar to the question that I answered about Jalik's question. And it all comes down to your experience and your ability. And definitely college can have a lot to do with that, and it can have absolutely nothing to do with that. It depends upon what business you want to start, and it depends upon your background and what you bring to the table. So for instance, I was in restaurants for years. I also got a degree in hospitality and tourism management. And I guarantee you, if I went to the bank with just a college degree that says I know how to run restaurants, they would be very unlikely to give me a loan. But going with no college degree and years of experience in restaurants, they would be much more likely to give me a loan. So it depends upon the business that you're going in, and it depends upon what's required for that business. So if you're going to do something that requires, if you look at, I was going to say, like it really depends. If you look at a lot of the tech giants, the Zuckerbergs and the whoever else, they didn't even, if they completed college, they may not even gone to college. So, it really doesn't matter. Like the quote unquote formal education that you have doesn't really matter. It's about what you know and your experience. Next question is from Joan Lees, 18. And her question is, what's better, start a business that you know how to do, or start a business that's something you love to do?
So I'm going to ask you for an assist on this one, because I think I would appreciate like a counter argument for this one. So I think starting a business, if you're going to start a business, there's a real benefit to starting a business when it's something that you love to do, right? There's an absolute benefit to that because you're passionate about it. You're going to want to stick with it. You're more likely to work really hard at it to make it successful, because if there's one thing that we can tell you, when you are an entrepreneur, you're starting a business, it's a grind. It's an uphill climb, and it requires a lot of work. And so loving what you do would be a huge benefit. Might take you longer to actually make real money though, because it's not necessarily something that is, needed in the marketplace, or maybe it's not something that will get you to the revenue positive as quickly as if you started a business doing something that you know how to do well. So I'm kind of curious for your thoughts on this one, Corey, especially on this, something that you know how to do.
Well, I mean, I think that they're kind of one and the same. If it's something that you love to do, you know how to do it. And
Interesting.
so,
Okay.
that's one way to look at it. And obviously, if it's something that you don't really like, but you know how to do it, like Julie said, I mean, you're going to be potentially less likely to, like, you're not going to have your heart in it, and you're going to be less likely to stick through all of the challenges and the troubles and all of that, because you just don't have the passion about it. So, I'd say definitely make sure that there's some sort of passion in what you're doing, and just owning your own business, being your own boss could be the passion. You could have some very, unattractive career like pest control or something like that, and but you get to set your own hours, you get to do your own thing, you get to make your own money. And no offense to anybody who's in pest control out there, Brett, my neighbor, but so that's what I would say. And the only thing that I would add is that just be careful, because you can often take something that you love and turn it into something that you hate, because all of a sudden your passion now becomes a chore.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I'm so glad that I asked you to weigh in on this one, because I guess I wasn't thinking, if you love to do it, you clearly know how to do it. So thanks for providing the assist on that one. All right, the next question is from Ray John, who's 15. And I'm just going to interject here real quick before I read the question. We are so sorry if we're pronouncing any of these names wrong. Really, really sorry. We're trying very hard, but I think this one is Ray John. Again, he's 15, and his question is this: how do you know what kind of businesses are going to be successful?
That is a very open-ended question.
It is.
And I think that the key factors are, you need to have obviously a product that people are going, or service that people are going to want to buy. That's first and foremost. If you're selling something that nobody wants, then obviously you're not going to be successful. From there, it comes down to the way that you manage your company, and that's how you build out your foundation of your business, and in terms of knowing who your customer is, knowing what your marketing strategy is, knowing what numbers you need to abide by. So that's one of the main reasons a lot of businesses go out of business, is they don't manage by the numbers. And that's my one piece of advice to anybody out there, is managing your business by the numbers, knowing if you're selling a product, what your cost of goods needs to be. If you're renting a business or a building, what your percentage of revenue your rent can be, labor cost, all of that stuff. Knowing the numbers and managing your business by the numbers is the best way to be successful. Knowing what kind of business, it's hard to say, because there's success stories in every industry and there's failure stories in every industry. So, I think it's for the purposes of this question, it's somebody who's passionate about what they're doing. They're 100% bought into what they're selling, and that they have the ability to make the hard decisions and manage their business correctly. Next up, we've got, Tony, 18. Question for Julie: do people start up businesses while they still have other jobs? I feel like I would have to do so in order to have some money.
Tony gets the Sharp Cat Award, because that, quite honestly, This is Tony's got it. Yes, a lot of people start businesses while they still have another job. You may hear people refer to it as a side hustle, or they may keep it very quiet that they're working on something else because they don't want their employer to know that they've got this other thing going on that could put their employer at risk of losing them, or that it may be a distraction to their job. But yeah, Tony, a lot of people start businesses that way, especially if they really want to do something, they're passionate about it, they want to check it out and see how it works in the marketplace, to just kind of dip their toes in the water. That way they've got the security of already having a paycheck coming in, and they can use all the money that comes in from their side hustle business. They can save it and kind of build up a little bit of a nest egg so that they can eventually quit their job and be working full time in their own business. All right. Next question is from Jayona, who is 16. I would be worried it would fail. What % of businesses make it big?
Well, that depends upon what your definition of big is. The percentages of businesses that turn into multi-million-dollar buyouts and all of that, I would say is less than 0.0001%. Very, very unlikely that anybody is going to start a business and sell it for millions of dollars or become a multimillionaire overnight. Not to say that you can't do that, but becoming a big, making it big, so to speak, takes time, especially if you don't have any kind of like crazy innovation in the tech space or something like that people are going to be interested in. If you're, just doing a traditional business, your definition of big could be, having a solid savings account and being able to take a couple vacations a year. Your definition of big really depends upon like what you feel making it big is. When it comes to failing, that is a whole other question. And failure really, it depends upon you. Again, if you measure, or if you manage your business by the numbers and you're passionate about what you're doing, and you're running your business, you have a viable product, et cetera, then the chances of you failing are 100% like outside of your control. So if it's like again, another global pandemic or something like that you can't control, that's and you can't beat yourself up for that. But if for everything that you can control in terms of your numbers, your marketing, your placement within the industry, whatever it is, that's that's all up to you and how you manage your business. And I would say that if you can make it 12 to 24 months for most businesses, that's making it big, because most businesses don't make it that long. Next question is from Shade. She is 16, and her question is it a bad idea to start a business with your friends?
Short answer is nope. The longer answer is get an operating agreement in place, right? So, and also make sure that you actually really like your friend, and that you have a common vision or goals for the business, right? So, but that operating agreement, which is something you would work with an attorney to get in place, will protect you and hopefully make sure that your friendship remains intact. And that's obviously something that you want. But starting a business with your friends is a great idea. You just have to really protect yourself, and you have to be willing to have really hard conversations. You have to be able to know that work is work and personal is personal, and you can't let the two cross over. And you have to be a really good communicator. You probably have to be a better communicator when you start a business with your friends than if you start it with anybody else, because you just really want to maintain that friendship and that relationship. But it all comes down to operating agreements and having a shared vision. And I say, go for it.
And I also think having a set way to resolve conflicts.
We use the octagon.
Yeah, the octagon works for us, but a solid way to resolve conflicts, and just to know that you need to separate business and personal. That that's one problem that a lot of people have, is they take things personally when it's like, this is just business. So being able to separate that is important.
Agreed. Okay. Our final question is from Emily. She's 16, and she said, I feel like you can learn anything on YouTube. Is there a YouTube channel that helps you learn how to start a business?
Well, first, I'm going to thank Emily, and this was not scripted, but I'm going to thank her for this softball that she just threw, because we just launched our own thing on YouTube. It's called Project 365, where every day for an entire year, we're going to answer questions, short little videos of, less than 3 minutes of just answering questions about business. And it's everything from marketing, finance, questions, process, foundation, all sorts of stuff is in there. And so every day through our YouTube channel, we're going to have that out there. But yes, you can learn pretty much anything on YouTube. That doesn't mean that it is correct. So just be careful about that. That just because somebody's posting a video on YouTube, it doesn't mean that they know what they're talking about.
I do feel like we should say that we do know what
we do know what we're talking about. Yes. But just, for the other people out there posting, the other YouTubers out there, is there one particular YouTube channel? No. I would say that if anybody says that they are the one-stop shop for everything that you need to know, they are lying, because while a lot of people might know a lot about subjects, they don't know everything. So when you need to get into certain things, so starting a business is different than managing your finances, which is different than hiring, which is different than updating your processes and making them more efficient, that type of stuff. So you'd have to kind of search around for the particular topic that you need in order to really get a good grasp using just YouTube. And then beyond that, I would definitely say that, YouTube is a great resource, but there's plenty of books and websites and other resources out there, all digital, all on the internet, that you could use. But yeah, YouTube's a great place to start for sure.
It is. And that wraps it. Before we, roll through our podcast wrap, I do want to take a minute to thank Erica Baylor for talking to her students and getting them to send over these questions. Again, these students are all part of the Cougar Academy, which is a part of the Harrisburg City School District, and they're working on their transition goals for graduation. These questions were great. They were really, really well thought out. They're very good, and makes me feel optimistic about the future. And I think we've got some young entrepreneurs on our hands.
Yes, we definitely do. And thank you to all of them for their questions, and thanks to our listeners. And if you need to find out anything about this show or where you can find us, you can find all that in the show notes.
Yes. And you can connect with us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and as Corey mentioned, YouTube. Check out our SB Pace YouTube channel and really check out our series Project 365. You can also reach us on sbpace.com.
And while you're out there on the interwebs, subscribe to our podcast, like us, and give us a review. We love the feedback that we get on our podcast.
Oh, we love feedback so much. Also, you can reach out to us about topics. There's a form on our website. If there's anything you want us to talk about, send us a note and we will gladly give it consideration, strong consideration. Also, we wrote a book. It's a #1 bestseller on Amazon. It's called, Corey, what's our book called?
Seriously, Now What? A Small Business Guide to Disaster Preparedness. Did you forget that?
I didn't. I just feel like I have way more lines today than you do, and I wanted to share. That book comes with a companion workbook, and if you've already bought it, you know what you should do? Go over to Amazon and give it a review.
Yes, you should. That's it for today. I'm Corey.
And I'm Julie.
And this was BizQuik, helping small business owners and likely entrepreneurs across America.